here I'm going to come with a lot of good news. This draft is spectacular, especially among forwards. It's not a great draft for defensive prospects. The top defenseman that's probably going to go is this Austrian kid that is just big and tall, and every evaluator just kind of gets blown away by the big and tall guy. He might go late first round. We could see a ton of forwards getting taken. That's one of the reasons why I believe the Blackhawks traded up for Bertynski last year, knowing, hey, we get our defenseman that we like in 2021. We can save out for these forwards in 2023 or 2022, 23, whatever. Years all blend together after the pandemic. You guys know what I'm talking about here. The other good news about this draft is that the Blackhawks have 2 first-round picks, but also 2 second-round picks. And some GMs and evaluators I've been talking to say those second-round picks might be better than the first-round picks in 2024. You can get really good value. When I talked to Dan Marr, he's the head of the NHL Central Scouting, he said there was 50 to 60 really good prospects in this draft, and it does tail off after that, but those 50 to 60 are really, really good. The high-end talent here, the top 5 picks of the draft are all excellent players, and the Blackhawks at this moment are projected to get in that range and more than likely should. So you've got Connor Bedard at number 1. He's your Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews, very elite level talent. Number 2 is more than likely going to be Adam Fantilli. Going into the past World Juniors, there were some people who still said, I might even take Fantilli over Bedard. I don't think they're saying that anymore. I still think it's a very clear consensus number 1, but that just gives you a sense of how good Adam Fantilli is. Canadian kid, he's playing for Michigan. One of the great things he did at the World Juniors is we see him score a ton at Michigan. He's a center. He played out of position. He played a role, bottom 6 minutes. Completely bought in for Team Canada to get them a goal. And for a lot of evaluators, they're like, that showed me versatility. That showed me coachability. I effing love that kid. So he would be a great consolation prize. Leo Carlsson, more than likely going to go number 3. Swedish player, very precocious. You see the Swedish model, he'd probably plug into the NHL very soon and be quite a productive player. And then, if a team's willing to take a risk, I feel like stomach a risk is my theme of the day. But Matvei Michkov is a player who has been talked about the best Russian since Alex Ovechkin to come out of that league. Incredible winger, just ready to dominate probably in the NHL in the sense that he's already, playing professionally over in Russia. Because of the Russia factor, because of the fact that he's signed in the KHL till 25-26, he's probably going to drop. We don't know when he's going to come over here, what his appetite is. But, if a team's willing to take a little bit of a risk on him and you get him outside the 2 to 4 range, you could land a complete diamond.
So Michkov is very interesting because I don't think that Kyle Davidson's in a position to make him his first pick if it's in the top 5. But you mentioned him potentially falling because of the Russian factor. How far could he fall? Are we talking into the teens? Are we talking into the 20s? Or is it going to be maybe 7, 8?
Yeah, we're at the draft, like the cycle of the draft, where all of a sudden now I'm starting to see, attitude problems, scouts are saying. So, there's some people trying to influence that and make him draft a little longer. We saw in this past year when there was a lot of unknown, right? The invasion to Ukraine was just in February. Mm-hmm. The next draft was in July. One thing that there's not a concern over is enough people having seen him. He's played enough of these big tournaments, like the Hlinka Gretzky tournament. Like, people have seen him at this level, and there's still some eyes in Russia. Like, the border's not completely closed to NHL evaluators. My guess would be teens. The guys in this past draft didn't quite slide as much as we thought. Like, the talk in Montreal last year was there's not going to be Russians in the first round whatsoever. They're going to be iced out. Then there were 3. But my guess is, he'll fall out of the top 5, but not much further than that, just because the talent is there. But they're going to need some assurances from his representation that he wants to come to the NHL, and that's his goal the second his KHL contract's over.